Take me away from home. Show me all the places I've never known. And we'll chase the night. Race all of these.
There's a lot of fun, man. Today we've got something unbelievably exciting. It's an all-electric 1,200 horsepower, 4-motor, $1.3 million supercar called the Drako GTE. And here with me to explain it better than anyone else, the co-founder Shiv. Great to have you.
Hey, nice to be here, Roger.
So tell us a little bit about the car. I mean, on the surface, it's gorgeous, it's smooth, it's obviously very fast, but what is this car all about?
Well, let's start with the design, because I think that's very important to, our ethos. We want to make, beautiful cars to be enjoyed. But what electric power allows us to do is to enable a new kind of control, right? And so this control is 4-motor control,
Sure.
where we're able to individually vary the torque to each individual wheel every 10 milliseconds. We compute it every millisecond, and every 10 milliseconds we send an update to each of the 4 wheels. What does that mean? What that means is, by considering multiple variables while driving, the wheel speed sensors, the steering angle sensor, the accelerator pedal, the brake pedal, and the computed slip angle, we know in which direction the driver would like the car to go, and using the torque vectoring and the slip control,
Sure.
we're able to provide a very seamless driving experience where the car can essentially feel like literally it's on rails.
So unlike a conventional car where you've got an internal combustion engine, one engine in the front, you've got a differential because when you go around a corner, the inside wheels are traveling at a different speed than the outside wheels. This car has 4 different motors that can be varied in milliseconds.
In both directions.
In both directions.
See, because in a standard, differential, the only way you can slow the wheel down is to apply the hydraulic brakes. So here with an electric motor, we're able to provide both, a forward torque and a reverse torque
Sure.
in milliseconds, providing, a level of control that you can't physically achieve with mechanical components.
So design-wise, I think this car is super unique. One thing I noticed is it doesn't have any door handles. So how do you actually open the doors to this car? I love how sleek and it almost looks like it's made from one giant sheet of metal.
So the whole idea of the car was to not have any notches or holes or
Sure.
anything in it. We want to hark back to that, Italian, long bonnet style of car. But going, to the doors, we have integrated a touch sensor that has fingerprint detection on it.
Really?
So it's
that's
very similar, and that's
these right here.
Right. So currently the car is unlocked. So you press
That's
it.
cool.
But if the car was locked, it wouldn't let you in.
Gotcha. And if it's locked, your fingerprint can actually get read and unlock the car and open the door?
Exactly, and it's a very cool access method.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about charging. Obviously, range is important. How quickly you can charge the car. How does it work in a
I'm glad you asked that
1,200
question.
horsepower
I'm glad you asked that
supercar?
question because, the rate of discharge and the rate of charge are highly related because electrons don't care which direction they go in.
Sure.
Right? As long as you can maintain the correct temperatures and sustain the current, it doesn't matter which direction it is. So because this car can produce, around 2,200 amps at 450 volts of current, we can also charge it at an extremely high rate. So we can charge it at 150 kilowatts, or we can maintain that 150 kilowatt rate from about 8 to about 90% because of our advanced thermal management capabilities.
Wow. So then, optimal charging environment, what's the fastest you could charge it to 92%?
Right, so this is a 90 kilowatt hour battery. Because of the high horsepower, high current design of this vehicle, we can maintain those charge rates for extreme periods of time.
So we've got carbon ceramic brakes, so these Brembos.
So we are looking at, a monoblock forged wheel
I love the design.
and Brembos.
Awesome. And then what about suspension-wise?
Suspension-wise, we're currently running Öhlins.
Gotcha.
You know, we love Öhlins, and it's a great product. And we're running 4-way adjustable front and rear.
Sure. So it's obviously a very long car. I love how low and sleek it looks. The design is awesome. How much does it weigh?
The car weighs 5,300 pounds.
Okay.
And, you know, she's a big girl, I'll be honest with you. But the thing that we can't see in the car, right?
Yeah.
Which is the real secret sauce. We talked about charging in this job.
Yep, the low center of gravity.
It's the battery, right?
Sure.
You can't see it, but it's right here in the floor of the car.
Yep.
Right? Which provides an extremely low center of gravity. And also, because the car is a 50-50 weight distribution, polar moment of inertia is extremely low, right? And so the car rotates very well. You know, there's no gas tank sloshing around.
Of course.
There's no pistons flying around. So the overall smoothness and the primary and secondary harmonics in the car allow it to be a very smooth and seamless ride.
Awesome. So what's under the hood?
We have 2 motors here in the front, 2 inverters, and of course the cooling system that goes along to make sure that, you know, the battery and the high voltage electronics and the motors can stay cool. But the most exciting part of this car, when I describe it, is that what's under the hood is actually only half the car.
Cool.
Right? So this car is fully symmetrical. It
Yep.
has 4 identical permanent magnet motors driven through 4 independent gearboxes at a reduction ratio, allowing us to have 4 individual wheels under our control at all times. And as you mentioned earlier, the differential control is done entirely in software.
So this car has 4 gearboxes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Remember, these gearboxes are slightly different,
Sure,
right,
sure.
to what you would expect. If we're used to, you know, a 7-speed or a 6-speed,
Yeah, of course.
right? You know, whether that's a sequential box or a DCT. Here, we're simply talking about a reduction gear.
Sure, sure.
Right? So in this case, we're running a 5.56-to-1 reduction gear, right? And of course, that gives you torque multiplication. And that torque multiplication allows us to get approximately 2,000 Newton meters per wheel for a total of 8,000 Newton meters.
So that's like 6,000 plus pound-feet of torque.
Indeed.
You think 1,000 pound-feet of torque is a lot? This has 6 times that. That's unbelievable. I love the design of the front. I think it's a very good-looking car.
We see it as sort of the reimagining of the supercar. That's what electric allows you to do, shake things up, you know, change the status quo.
Of course.
We're able to package that, right, in this car. And again, a long wheelbase is kind of important, so we have enough space for the battery.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But by placing it low and integrating it with this, you look at the wide body notion of it and the long hood. Yes, the car is long, but we acknowledge that length and we enjoy it.
Awesome. So obviously, the only thing we have to do next, of course, is drive the Drako. Inside of the Drako GTE now. So tell me a little bit about all of these switches. Pretty cool layout. I love the design language. Got everything from ice mode to race mode, brake regeneration, torque split, and then what's TV and SC?
SC stands for slip control, and TV stands for torque vectoring. And the combination of those 2 techniques is, you know, in blue mode, but it allows you to try different modes just to experiment on the track to see, you know, what the algorithm's able to do for you. It's almost like driver's ed, right? You can see how the algorithms are helping you rotate, and also to prevent you from spinning the car, because, you know, that's the worst thing that can happen, right? In a powerful car, you don't want it to swap ends.
Of course.
And so this is really, I mean, I would say 90% or even 99% of the time you're going to drive it, you know, in TV plus SD, because you want the algo to essentially be optimized at all points. The front power allows you to control the bias, and you see it also, it's reflected in the instrument cluster, that as I adjust the bias, I can go from, you know, rear wheel drive all the way up to symmetrical all-wheel drive, and we can do that on the fly. And I think the most useful part of it is on, you know, tight roads. You can knock the front power off a little bit so as to not overpower the steering, and again, it lets you just choose the exact balance you want, and you do it dynamically depending on road surface. It's all driver specified so that you are always in control. And then of course the surface, as you mentioned, allows us to tell the the algorithm what surface grip is available. And currently we support ice, snow, rain, dry, track, and race, where race is you're running on slicks.
Sure.
And track is you're running on a high friction surface, and lesser friction surfaces after that.
I think taking this car on ice would be pretty exciting. All right, ready to let me take it for a spin?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, first time behind the wheel of the Drako GTE. Let's see what she's got. Yeah, you can really feel, the one thing that I think is really unique about this car is that most electric cars fall flat on their face after about 60 miles an hour, and they top out at a reasonably low top speed for sports cars, 130, right. 140, 150. This car pulls to 206 miles an hour. That's pretty absurd.
She does, and you feel it, she just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
I like the sound too.
It's turbine-like, right?
It is, it is.
It's different.
It sounds futuristic. Brake pedal, very easy to press the brakes. I'm kind of surprised. So obviously the super unique part about the drive in this car is the 4 independent motors. We'll get to a spot where there's a little more twisties and we can experience what it's like, but you were saying that virtually no understeer, no oversteer. It just has this perfect balance because of the infinitely variable torque vectoring.
Yes, and again, it doesn't matter what I say, what matters what you say. So get on the gas as you're turning like no other car.
Wow.
How do you do that? Right? As you get to know the car more, Barker, you'll realize that you'll just need to brake less and just turn her in.
It really does have this corner exit that feels like nothing else. It doesn't push. Wow. Test out the brakes. It's a very smooth car to drive. It's comfortable, I like it. So what would you say the best environment for a car like this is? What's the ideal Drako GTE driving road or experience?
I think this car loves sweepers. A nice A road that has sweepers that you can take at, I don't know, 120.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But what you can do on this car is that post apex, as soon as you can see, you can get on the gas.
Yeah.
Right? And the pull out of the corners is instantaneous.
It's really impressive. Obviously, instant torque at any speed because of the all-electric powertrain. But yeah, there's definitely something special about the way it corners on corner exit. It's interesting, it almost has this like all-wheel steering feel. Because we are using differential torque to rotate the car. Yeah. Right? It's an active, proactive form of control. Wow. Yeah, a car this big is not supposed to corner this well. Correct. This car is, 4.9 meters long. And I think it feels like a mid-engine sports car. I think you're enjoying it. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Wow. You can really feel, like I was saying, unlike most electric cars that have that insane hit off the line and by 40, 50 miles an hour they die, this car feels like it comes alive for the first time at 60 miles an hour, and then it just rips continuously after that. And the other thing though is that we work very hard to create a very progressive pedal. Sure. That giddy up that you get with other electric cars where they're just trying to pin your eyeballs unsettles the car during this kind of driving, and you want very progressive throttle control. So the steering feels good. Is it hydraulic or is it electric power assisted? It is a hydraulic system. And the hydraulic pump is an electric pump, obviously. Wow. Yeah, this car flies, guys. So what's your favorite part about the car? I mean, one, I'm very excited for you and impressed. The ultimate car guy dream is to create a car, and you've done that. But what do you think is your favorite overall, unless it's impossible to pick one, thing about the Drako? I think the level of confidence that this car inspires in your driver is pretty unbelievable.
It's like having your own rally driver, you know, helping
really
you along,
is.
right?
You can push this car a lot harder than you think you can, and that lack of understeer it almost feels unnatural, but in a good way. Like it's begging you to push the car harder, but your mind doesn't think it can. It's pretty otherworldly. I like it, man. I'm impressed.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is a lot of fun. So how many of these total are you guys making? Obviously, it's a very limited car.
Yes, we're planning to only make 25 pieces for
That's
discerning ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there you go, guys. If you've got any interest in this, which definitely you should, it's a pretty unbelievable car. You better act fast because they're only making 25. And I think what's really cool is, unlike a lot of the other manufacturers that touted an electric car at auto shows and then they kind of dropped off the face of the planet and we haven't seen them on the road, you guys did the opposite strategy, whereby you were dead silent, have been developing the software in this car for a decade, and then came out of nowhere and the car's ready to go.
Right, well, you know, we don't believe in tooting our own horn, right? Our goal was to build, you know, this technology and this vehicle and let others comment on the fact. And I'm glad you like it.
I do like it. So this car only has one computer in it.
Yes, that's a big part of, you know, our software architecture.
Sure.
That's our, you know, Drako Drive OS. We've been able to consolidate all the key functions for the vehicle onto, you know, a single CPU with multiple cores.
That's pretty crazy, because in today's day and age, it seems like cars are getting the amount of ECUs in them as they have horsepower.
In your Maybach, for example, there's probably, you know, somewhere between 100 to 150 separate control units.
Sure.
And they're communicating, you know, over a CAN bus. We take all that communication and put it inside the chip and allow you to, you know, eliminate all of those hardware boxes, and as a result, reduce your code footprint.
Sure. It's like you need to come up with a new word for it. It's not understeer or oversteer, it's neutral steer. It just kind of rotates right around the center of the car.
What you can do on those tighter corners,
sure, you
can try playing with giving it a bit more throttle just for fun, and seeing that she won't step out.
Yeah, wow. It does, it feels glued to the road. That's wild. Right now, it's in maximum regen.
Right. Now lift it off.
Oh, wow.
Now glide.
Now fully coasting.
Okay, so it's a different feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels like the rolling resistance is really low too. Like this car coasts better than most. If we've got traction control modes here, I mean, there's even a drift mode. What does the other modes vary? If you're in track mode versus race, does that also mess with the traction control a little bit, or?
What it does is, remember, we're not really traction control. We're traction.
Sure.
Right? We're not waiting for something to exceed a limit before doing it, right? We're computing that the whole time. So these modes are simply so the driver can set some preferences to optimize the performance of the algorithm. You don't want that to be adaptive, because that gives the driver a surprise. And you don't want AI making a mistake, right? And putting you in a confusing situation that causes you to crash the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so try it here. Now take the regen off and just lift and see how it feels.
Yeah, wow.
See, the back didn't step out.
Yeah,
and the front just went round.
It's just dramaless speed. Since you're only making 25, do you have some sort of a bespoke program where somebody wants a certain feature, you can tailor to their needs, or what
Absolutely.
type of customization
when we
offer?
build 25 pieces, you know, the cars are essentially hand built, you know, for the person ordering them.
Sure.
And so it starts with, you know, well, I would say this is, you know, pre-pandemic. It starts with a visit to, you know, Turin, Italy, to meet with Loie and the rest of the creative team. And I guess post-pandemic, you know, we can do that virtually.
Yeah.
But that's how the process begins. The customer expresses to the original designer of the vehicle what their feelings are.
No, that's pretty cool.
Because this car is a lot about emotion.
Just finished up the drive. The car is incredibly fast. It's easy to drive, and the mid-corner and corner exit abilities are actually like no other car. It's got the most unique driving feel ever. The quad motor is definitely a winner. So he's pulled the actual hood off the car. And I think what's really unique is on most electric cars, you don't get to see anything at all. But here, look, you've got the inverters, all of the cool cabling. You said that's a bunch of cooling down there.
That's right.
And you can actually see the individual motors, the front two and the gearbox in the middle. And apparently it's the exact same design mirrored in the back of the car.
Indeed, this is just half the car.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool, just the half.
A cool half.
What I like is it kind of brings back the car guy cool factor of being able to see a car's engine. On no other electric car that I've ever seen, you get to see a little window into what the powertrain is like. I feel like that's lost in cars like a Tesla, but to bring that here and be able to see it in full force in a really cool layout that's functional and aesthetically pleasing, I'm impressed.
Again, we're trying to create a new kind of experience using a new kind of technology, but yet bring the elements of the original passione of cars and just merge it into a enthusiast vehicle.
Well, I think you've nailed it. Thank you again.
Parker, our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
And guys, I think you're gonna see more of Drako in the future. This thing was a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you next video.